Hi, Julie.
Hi, Jim. How's it going?
Not too bad.
You're not the Jim I'm used to.
No, I know. I'm a little blue. Like, you know that song that starts Iron Man 3? I'm blue, blah blah dee da ba ba bee boo boo ba ba bee boo boo ba bee bee.
Do you live in a blue house?
No,
Oh.
I live in a cardboard box.
Oh.
Well, I'm small, you see.
I guess it wouldn't
It
be
makes
bad.
it much easier to do.
I'll paint it blue for you if you'd like.
Nah, that would probably kill me. You know, the fumes and everything.
Only if you were inside the box.
Well, where else am I gonna be?
I'll do it while you're out.
I don't really go anywhere. That's where I live. Alright, so anyway, we're reviewing a very special book today.
Oh, are we?
Yep. And we have to tell the people what the show is being brought to them by.
Oh, okay. So you tell me, what's the show being brought to us by today?
The show is being brought to us today by the letter C.
The letter C?
For comic book.
Of course.
And the number 6, because 6 comics are what we're going to review.
Good numbers.
Yeah, I thought so
I like
too.
it.
Now I have to be paid.
Payment in hugs?
I suppose.
All right.
I still want the money.
Okay. We'll take care of it off camera.
Hey folks, it's Jim, it's Julie, it's Geeking Out! We're back! After a 50-minute episode last week.
Was it 50?
Yeah, 50 minutes.
Goodness gracious.
So, yeah, welcome to the show. We've got 6, count them, 6 comic books to review today. Let's start with X.
First up, X from Dark Horse, written by Mike Swerinsky, and I'm apologizing if I mispronounce it. I was confident beforehand, I'm less confident now.
It happens. There's a lot of unpronounceable names in the comic industry.
So, X number 1 is full of violence, murder, and intrigue. And new readers are introduced to a vigilante wiping the town of Arcadia's crime syndicates. But who is this mysterious masked vigilante who runs around with his mask locked onto him with a padlock?
Well, you go back to the original series in the 90s and you find out.
I shouldn't have to. I shouldn't need to go back. They should tell me. So I'm going to wait to find out.
Well,
and hope that they don't. Hope that they do tell me. I'm sorry, if it was 20 years ago that this book was last out,
about that, yeah.
I should be able to pick up a copy off the shelf, and sometime during the miniseries, because this is a 4 or is it 5 issue? I think it's a 5-issue miniseries. At some point, they should tell me who he is and what his motivation is. And if they don't want to, then that's really not my problem, I suppose.
I suppose not. No.
As a new reader, I should be able to pick it up. So, that all said, I enjoyed this. It was gorier than what I necessarily normally read.
Yeah.
It's not something that I'm going to really follow.
It was more of a Sonya book.
Yes, it really was. But it was really good. I was intrigued by it.
Yep.
And I think that you guys should check it out. If you'll excuse me for one moment.
Well, she's busy. I'm going to read Sesame Street number 1. And in this one, which features not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, but 7! 7 stories! Which include How to Read Comics with Elmo.
Nice.
Super Elmo, which we talked about in the Free Comic Book Day episode. Little Castle Built by Prairie, which is featuring Snuffleupagus and Prairie Dawn.
I love Snuffleupagus.
Everyone loves Snuffleupagus.
I think it's mostly because his name is so much fun to say.
Snuffleupagus. Alright, Smog Day Afternoon, which is Well, a terrible smell is wafting all over Sesame Street, which makes Oscar really happy. In a grouchy kind of way.
That's fair.
A dip in the galaxy in which Cookie Monster decides to go and see if the moon is a cookie. Counts, in which he counts all the parts of his car.
Alright.
And Bert and Ernie's Great Adventures, Imagination Run Wild, which Ernie and Bert...
I know when I looked at that one, my imagination certainly ran wild.
Yeah, mine too, just a bit. But basically the story in that one is Bert and Ernie, Ernie really uses his imagination to put Bert into horrible, horrible situations. Like usual.
Yes.
But, alright, so if you're an old school Sesame Street fan like I am, and like Julie is, then you're gonna really enjoy this. It's a lot of fun. Great art, great story. It's just great for all ages. You're gonna have a blast with this one. Check it out. It's a lot of fun. Alright, so
I'm back from my disappearing act, and now bringing you The Movement #1. And this one, written by Gail Simone, was...
we need Gail to write everything.
Maybe not everything.
Well, maybe not everything.
I'm sure she would get tired.
Probably.
But I'm going to start off by saying that Gail definitely did not disappoint in this book. And this is a book about how life is hard for everybody, but it's especially difficult for people living in the tweens. The tweens is sort of the rougher area of town, filled with violence and drug deals and violence.
12-year-olds these days are just nuts.
Filled with dirty cops and murders and all kinds of stuff.
Letting 12-year-olds be cops? Wow. Okay.
They'll do anything in the tweens.
No, okay.
And this book is about how the outcasts of the tweens have really stepped up. The metahumans have stepped up, donned costumes, and have brought the people of the tweens together to protect their homes. And I really enjoyed it. You get some very interesting and different types of superpowers. From a king of the rats, a young gentleman who can control rats and they are at his absolute beck and call, to a young girl who can read emotions to the point of being able to tell somebody that his wife is cheating on him.
Well, that's always good.
Yeah. So, it was interesting. I really am excited to see what else this book is going to yield. And I think that you guys should definitely, especially if you are politically inclined in any way, shape, or form, check out The Movement, because that's the direction it's going.
Alright, next up we have Charismagic, Volume 2, Number 1. And in this one, after magician Hank Medley saved the world from an ancient evil with the help of a druid named Suchana, and her magical talking cat, Sparkles, he discovers the true nature of dark magic has arrived on Earth, and it could lead to an even bigger catastrophe.
That's cool.
Alright, so this one is actually drawn by a friend of mine, Vincenzo. And I love Vincenzo. I love his art. He's done stuff for me before, and I don't like this.
Oh no!
It's not the art that I don't like, it's the colors. They muddy up Vincenzo's art.
Okay.
They don't make it as nice to look at as it should be.
Did he do the colors as well?
No, he did not.
Okay.
So, I think that what happened here was after Vincenzo drew it, and someone else probably inked it, it just lost its really charm. And that's one of the things about Vincenzo's art, is how charming it is and fun. And in this, it's just a pretty dark mess.
So it lacks charisma?
Yeah, exactly. Not to say anything bad about Vincenzo. I love him to death. He's a great guy. But I just could not get into this one due to the colorist's, well, pretty terrible work, I have to say.
Wow.
And it almost killed the comic for me.
Gee, Jim, tell us how you really feel.
Sorry! But if you're a Vincenzo fan, then check it out. It's great for his art, but sadly the colors really kill it for me.
Well, next up for me is 10 Grand, and this was also written by J. Michael Straczynski.
No,
Oh,
no,
my bad.
Straczynski.
These are two different people, and I'm just realizing that now. They look... The names,
Yes.
the names when you read them appear very, very similar, especially on the covers.
We should probably have them be in a fight.
Yes, exactly. We'll pit them against each other. Straczynski versus Swarinski, and
Yeah.
we'll see which one superhero can come on top. So X versus.
Well, I don't know.
Joe.
I think Straczynski might lose because he wrote the Superman Walking Across America story, which was pretty terrible.
I haven't read that one, so I can't comment. However, I can comment on 10 Grand, and I have nothing but good things to say about J. Michael Straczynski and... Yes, Straczynski and Ben Temple-Smith's work on this. So, in this book, the basic premise is that when you have a problem, you take your problem and $10,000 to Joe Fitzgerald at Lenny's bar, and Joe fixes your problem. Now, these are the problems that you can't take to the police or to your friends and family, because your friends and family will probably ask you if you have spent some time in an institution lately. So, with these problems that Joe fixes, they're all of a mystical variety. And when Debbie enters the bar one day and sits down at the table across from Joe to ask for his help, Joe accepts and gives her back her 10 grand after learning that her younger sister has been adopted into a cult whose leader is a man that he shot in the head 2 years previous.
Oy vey. Well,
Yes.
excuse me for a second.
This book, guys, I know that my summary has been a little jumbled, but it's definitely worth looking for a first print or going and picking up the second print, which has just been announced, and reading, because Temple-Smith's art, as per usual, does not disappoint at all. It's wonderful. It's not my normal artistic style, but I love how simplistic it is and how it really lends itself to you working your imagination. He really asks a lot of the readers to get a good feel. And I feel like Ben
Live show,
Temple-Smith...
store. Yay.
I feel like Ben Temple-Smith really gives a good feeling to the story in this book. So, 10 grand, number one, go out, find a copy, read it, it's wonderful.
Alright, and last up today, we have Cyborg 009, number 0. And in this one, when a young man known only as 009 discovers his body has been cybernetically improved against his will, he must break free from the Black Ghost Society before he is sold to the highest bidder as an unstoppable weapon.
Huh. Does he like his martinis shaken or stirred? Oh wait, no, that's 007.
And, well, there are 8 other cyborgs in this book.
Does 007 in this book have a license to kill?
No.
Does 009 have a license to kill?
Possibly. They're cyborgs. That's what they do. Alright. So, this is based off the original manga series from way back when. And also TV series, but it's an original American comic
Oh, interesting.
adaptation. So, the art here by Marcus 2 is actually really nice. I really enjoy it. And if you're unfamiliar with the characters or the history of this series, there's a really nice backup that actually teaches you the history of these characters and everything in between.
You mean
So-
what I would have liked in this book?
Yeah, I know, eh? But if you're a fan of the Cyborg 009 series, then this is really an interesting concept at least in pitch. It's going to be an original graphic novel coming from Archaea, so it should be interesting. I do enjoy when sometimes Americans get a chance to reimagine a Japanese property. Sometimes it turns out horribly, mind you, but this time it was not half bad, and I actually enjoyed myself. So if you're a fan of the original series, do check this one out. It's actually a lot of fun, and you get a really good history of the creator and his creations.
That's awesome. My favorite thing about this book, I'm not going to lie, was that it has a different paper quality.
Yeah, it actually does, and it's only $1 for a preview, so
perfect.
Really you can't go wrong with that. Alright, so that brings us to the close of another exciting episode.
Does not bring us to the close.
No?
That is something I wanted to talk about really, really quickly.
Alright, let's go.
So, DC Comics Red Hood and the Outlaws is one of my favorite books.
Yes.
And it was primarily because
I didn't like it for a couple of reasons, but we won't go into that right now.
I really enjoyed the creative team.
Yeah.
Because I felt like they did a fantastic job of really giving life to Jason and to Roy. I could handle their interpretation of Corey. After reading 2 or 3 issues, I came to understand it better. I'm not necessarily happy with it, but
most fans aren't.
I understand it, and I'm not terribly upset. That said, they've now moved off Red Hood and onto Superman, and I hate it. The new Superman, I just feel like Lois and Diana shouldn't look 100% the same.
Yeah.
They should have different haircuts, at the very least. I understand that both ladies are dark-haired, but Lois, every time I imagine Lois Lane, she always has from chin to shoulder length hair.
Yeah.
Lois Lane does not rock the almost bum crack hairstyle that Diana does.
Oh, that's terrible.
And I really just feel like, come on, DC, pick it up. One other comment about Red Hood. Red Hood 19, very first panel, has a small thing in the bottom that says, to find out why Red Hood left Batman in the Himalayas, check out Batman and Red Hood number 20. Would it really have been so difficult to make Batman and Red Hood 19 instead of 20?
Yeah. Probably not.
So that,
no.
Because it releases first, and then we could have read it in proper chronology without having to sit there and go, what do you mean I have to wait a month to find out what happens? So DC, please put Lobdell and Rockefort back on Red Hood, and please stop playing with timelines and giving us spoilers in books, because nobody likes spoilers.
Also, stop killing characters, because we all know they're coming back 6 months later.
That too.
It's stupid, and it's something that should have died in the 90s. Alright.
It should have died?
Yeah.
Nice. I like it.
Alright, so that brings us to the close of another exciting episode. We apologize for all the interruptions, but this is a working store, so you'll have to get used to it. We will see you next week. Have a good one.